Oh my god.
Whoa, I love the picture. That's nice.
You know what this is, right, Eric? It's vinyl.
Oh, wow. Nice, man. Wow.
No, 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 no. No way. Look at the picture that's on the vinyl.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Babe, it's our vows on vinyl. Wow. Dylan, this is the best gift ever.
I'm about to learn how to use a hammer and a screwdriver for future occasions.
We were just talking about that.
And I vow to not let anyone.
What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all the records that I acquired within the month of December this year in 2022. Hope you guys had a great Christmas this year. I, for myself, had a very enjoyable holiday. And as always, it was a prime time to ask for some box sets for Christmas because this time of year is such a flurry with all kinds of releases coming out that it's hard to keep track of everything. And I also can't necessarily get everything for myself. So needless to say, I got some awesome box sets from Santa Claus. Got my hands on the CD version of the Beach Boys Sail On Sailor 1972. This one I am very excited for. This is the David Bowie Divine Symmetry box set. This covers the period of Hunky Dory, BBC live recordings, demos, remixes, and such. I am very excited to dig into this. And while I have showcased the vinyl counterpart of this set, I do need to have the CD version as well. Also got my hands on the Beatles Revolver set. So all around fantastic Christmas with these box sets, along with many other things that I got. So fantastic stuff. But real quick before we get into the haul, a little bit of housekeeping here. I shared this on social media, but to those that are not aware, I am a part of the Whatnot stream team. Whatnot is a selling platform which enables sellers to do live stream auctions. So think of it as like eBay meets Twitch, and it kind of brings the two together in a very new, interesting way that people can go about selling and doing auctions. And there are many people on the platform that do sell vinyl. Just off the top of my head, I know Noble Records takes part in it, Matt over at Too Many Records, Billy over at Riverbend, as well as Roland Rex. So they're all doing stuff on the app, and I am offering a referral code, which can be found in the description box below, where if you sign up to the app, you get $15 credit that you can put towards your first purchase on the app. So be sure to check out Whatnot. Last but not least, I want to take the time to quickly tell you guys a rather incredible yet crazy story. I'm not going to mention any names, just out of respect of these people's privacy. But a couple weeks ago, I was contacted by a fan of the channel who lives overseas from where I am in the US. He was saying how him and his girlfriend are huge fans of the channel. They're also Kiss fans, which is a win-win. And they were really marveling over the content that I was doing surrounding the Creatures of the Night box set. And they were really curious as to when I was going to do a video on the 3LP Colored Vinyl Deluxe set, which was a Kiss Online exclusive. Ended up getting it a little bit on the later side from when it first came out. So it ended up going up as the Sunboxing upload for the month of December. And this guy was telling me that he had called his girlfriend and asked if she had seen the video. And over the phone, she was speaking incoherently and had suffered a seizure. Now, just down to the miraculous timing, he was able to call for an ambulance and get her sent to the hospital. And thankfully, she did survive. But this guy went on to tell me that if it wasn't for him calling her about my video that I had just put up on the first Sunday of the month, she more than likely would have died. And it was very humbling to hear, and I tried explaining it to him that what I do here on YouTube, in the grand scheme of, you know, my life and just the way the world is, this has no significance. You know, this is just merely just an outlet for me to talk about my passions and also connect with people who are into the same things as me and just, you know, just kind of build this general rapport. And, you know, I guess it just kind of honed in on the fact that something that at the level that I do. Now, granted, what I do is parallel amongst many other content creators. You have Matt over at Too Many Records, Eric at Vinyl Rewind, as well as all my various friends that I've made in the VC, Frank at Channel 33 RPM. You know, we're just doing this as an outlet. But to hear that a video that you uploaded in some crazy way saved a life, it's rather incredible. And also just given the fact that this channel is very, very close at hitting 5 years, its 5th anniversary, it was a nice little thing to hear to kind of, I guess, keep the momentum going for the new year and going into the future with whatever the Record Spinner as, I guess, a brand is meant to exist within. So it was a very crazy experience to hear firsthand and to be a small part of. So figured I would share that with you guys. But anyways, I have been babbling on way too much in this video, and if you're still watching, thank you. We have a lot to get through in this vinyl haul. We have some Christmas VCLT, some Mobile Fidelity releases, some Colored Kiss vinyl, King Crimson, the new Third Man Vault release with Jack White, and much, much more. It's about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Okay, so we're going to be kicking this haul off with a little stack of like random things that I've just accumulated over the past, I would say, first week of the month. As for all you Beach Boys fans out there, I'm sure you're all aware that there's been the release of the new Sail On Sailor 1972 box set, which covers the Carl and the Passions and Holland album, which I'm going to be showcasing in a video very, very soon if you're watching this video when it goes live. But to kind of get in the spirit of it, I also picked up this other Beach Boys release. It's sort of like a legal bootleg type release. This is Live in Paris. This is a show from 1969. It was a television broadcast. It's up on YouTube. It's in black and white. Solid set list. I mean, this is around the time of when 2020 had come out. So they were doing things like Do It Again, Breakaway, all that good stuff. What I like about the cover of this is that it's basically like an alternate shot of the Live in London release that came out sort of right around this same time frame. And the label that put this out, it's a label called Rhythm and Blues. They put out a couple of various different like legal bootleg releases. I have a couple of them. They do this sort of flip back style jacket, very reminiscent of like UK pressings from back in the day, which is very, very cool. And then this sort of die cut printed inner sleeve advertises all of the various other releases that they have done. So they've done things for, you know, bands such as the Stones, Hendrix, The Who, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, Yardbirds, all kinds of stuff. So if you wanted to track all those down, you have a basis guide to kind of go off of. And there is the label there. So I figured to kind of get myself hyped up for the box set, I would pick up this rather cool Beach Boys live release. Moving onward with the series that just keeps on churning out volumes. It's crazy that there are still various psych hard rock nuggets to be uncovered with the Brown Acid series. This is the 15th trip, so this is indeed the 15th volume that they've done of just heavy rock from the underground come down, as they always say. Just collections of various just sort of locally released 7 inches and such, from it's sort of in the proto-metal, hard rock, psych rock vein. These are honestly just great ways to dig into some, you know, undiscovered territory when it comes to that genre. I love this series very much, and pretty much I'm all up to date on these releases. Now it's getting them as they come out. So this is good stuff. So I'm happy to have this. This was recently brought into the shop recently, and I figured for getting it for a cheap price was justifiable. This is Weezer's Black Album. Weezer has had a sort of interesting track record as of lately for the past, I would say, 5 or 6 years with various different albums. There was this one, then there was the Teal album, then they did OK Human, Van Weezer. They've been kind of going on this interesting path. The only couple of tracks I know off of this are Zombie Bastards and High as a Kite. I just remember listening to those when this album had come out. This is going back in 2019, so I didn't really quite go after it, you know, when it first came out, but I figured at some point I would, because I do like Weezer. I'm more of a Blue Album, Pinkerton, Green Album, Maladroit Weezer fan, so I figured might as well check it out. And then we have one of the classics. It's kind of funny that I'm showcasing this because I already have 2 copies of this album already. I have a copy in my 2012 stereo box, and then I have the 2019 remix, but copy of Beatles' Abbey Road. This right here is the 2006 pressing that was done by Capitol. To be honest, I more so got this just to have a standalone copy that I don't have to take a box out off of the shelf and dig in to listen to Abbey Road. But also it'll be a little bit of a interesting comparison, so that way I can compare this to my 2012 stereo remaster. So kind of interesting. And just for the sake of pointing it out, what's interesting with the labels is that instead of the black background, it has a sort of white background. So that's rather interesting. So I figured have a bit of fun, compare this to my 2012, and see what kind of reigns as the superior copy. Okay, now let's step into the audiophile realm with some audiophile pressings, starting off with a release that came out fairly recently, within the past, I would say, month or so. And I was very intrigued with this release upon it being announced, and I kind of saw that it was hinted in one of these sort of promotional pamphlets that come with their releases, just promoting various products that are coming up. And when I saw this, I was like, I'll have to keep my eye out for that. And sure enough, got my hands on a copy of Jethro Tull Stand Up. This is the 2LP 45 RPM pressing done by Analog Productions from the original master tape. I already have the Steven Wilson remix of this, which comes with a nice booklet and such. So the fact that I now have the original pressing in this format, it will be a nice sort of basis of comparison mix-wise. I mean, I can already tell you, just based on, you know, the way that this is prepared, this is probably going to be one of the best sounding versions of this album, but I am very excited to listen to it. Nice glossy tip-on style jacket, and of course, they replicate the pop-up gatefold, which is absolutely awesome, just like the original. And I'll showcase one of the LPs. This comes on the green Chrysalis label as it was released in the US, because I believe it was on the Pink Island over in the UK. This was also mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio, and while this is an Analog Productions pressing, you would assume that it would be pressed at Quality Record Pressings, but that is not the case. RTI is kind of helping to sort of pick up the pace, sort of, by pressing up some of Analog Productions' titles. And of course, Chad Kasem has had ties with RTI in the early beginnings of, you know, Analog Productions and such, so he's kind of revisiting some ground by going to RTI with their pressings. And honestly, within the US, QRP and RTI are 2 of the best ones in the pressing business within North America. So very happy to get my hands on this. And now we have the controversial ones. Yes, I'm going to be talking about MoFi. Yes, I know, DSD, digital, blah, blah, blah. They still sound great to my ears. And they have been repressing up a lot of older titles. And as they become available, they tend to sell out. And I try to find that window when to jump on them. So sure enough, I got my hands on a couple. This one here, I actually don't have any records of by this particular duo, I should say. I've been meaning to dive into their catalog, and sure, I don't know if it's safe to say that this album here is the prime first one to jump into, but I figured because it was available, I would at least look into it. And that is Simon and Garfunkel. This album is Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. I did actually listen to this album at least once at the record store that I work at, and I honestly really enjoyed it to my ears, and I figured that having this nice pressing of it would be rather nice. As you can see, it doesn't say original master recording. That is because they used a copy of the analog tape for this, then converted it to DSD, and then, you know, cut the lacquers. So is what it is, but I'm sure this is going to be absolutely beautiful sounding. This came out back in 2017, I want to... No, 2018, my bad. Came out then, and just for the sake of showcasing. Also, I did save this. So these are the new stickers that MoFi is including on the loose plastic with all the releases, just so there is transparency in terms of what is being used. And, of course, MoFi does their nice little kind of custom center labels. And there it is right there. And then here is something a little bit more rocky, and that is Foghat's Fool for the City. This is an album that I've just simply been wanting for a very long time. I already have Foghat's self-titled debut, which sounded great to my ears, and I'm very excited to dig into this. And hell, Slow Ride is on it, so what's there not to love? And as you can see here, original master recording is on this. I'll have to do the research as to what they used for the source, because this is going back to 2008, and I don't think they were doing DSD at the moment, so for all I know, this could be all analog, but I'll have to find out. Nice gatefold there, and just for the sake of showcasing everything, here we sort of have these sort of old, not old school, but kind of older black and silver label there, which is very nice. So definitely getting my audiophile fix in between these Analog Productions pressings as well as these MoFi pressings. All right, next up are some deluxe editions of some classic albums, starting off with the best power trio to ever come from the Great White North. Yes, I am talking about Rush 2112. This right here is the 40th anniversary pressing. It's a 3 LP set. You have the main album remastered along with 2 bonus LPs. We have cover versions of most of the songs on the album by the likes of Steven Wilson and Alice in Chains. And then there's various live outtakes for A Massey Hall, which were the shows that were recorded for the All the World's a Stage live album, along with a couple of other live recordings and radio ads. So quite nice. I do remember when this came out originally, and I was kind of contemplating getting it, but I already had the standard 2015 reissue with the holographic Dead Wax, but that's actually featured here once again. So I figured having the extra material would be nice to have. So figured it would be cool to get, and also I got this for a very, very solid low price as well, which is awesome. And fresh artwork renderings by Hugh Syme, who is the sort of go-to guy for Rush artwork. And there are a lot of goodies with this deluxe vinyl set. So starting off, we have these sort of individual art prints of the band members. And on the back side are all the lyrics to the songs, which is very nice. Late great Neil Peart. There's Getty there. There's a fold-out insert, which opens up just like this. And we have liner notes talking about the album, which is cool. There is also a turntable slip mat, which is made of felt, so it's probably not going to go on the turntable, but it is nice to have, as well as a nice download card. And I'll showcase one of the records themselves. They do come with nice custom center labels here of the Starman logo. And to show that this basically is a repressing of the 2015 version, there you can see the holographic star that spins as you spin it on your turntable. So very nice to have, and I figured, you know, for getting it for such a low price, I might as well add this to stand alongside my my 2015 press. So very happy to have this. And then we go back a bit further with one of the most early classic live albums. Before a time, live albums became a household name, particularly in the 70s. And that is The Who Live at Leeds. And this right here is the complete concert spread across 3 LPs, mastered at half speed at Abbey Road Studios. This is the real McCoy here. So, of course, there's tracks that don't appear on the original album. You get the band performing the Tommy album from start to finish. This is just such a very nice thing to have indeed. And I've had my eye on this for quite a while. And it's one of those things where, like, it dries up and then all of a sudden you just see copies appearing. So you kind of have to jump on these things. Does come with a sort of Japanese-style obi strip. Here's the back with all the track lists. And this is a triple gatefold right here which does not replicate all the inserts that came with the original, but we have like some press clippings of talking about the album. And then each record comes housed in a printed inner sleeve where we kind of have like a track-by-track breakdown and some photos taken from the show with some liner notes, which is pretty nice. And I like what they did with the center labels as well. They kind of went with that sort of handwritten style, which was featured on the original. Yes, I know, I gotta brush this off. It's been inside a paper sleeve for way too long. So, very cool to have. And like I said, this is one that I've just kind of had my eye on for some time. I did have my standard reissue of the original single LP, which I ended up parting ways with, so I can get my hands on this nice half-speed deluxe full version. Okay, so here we have the newest live release from a progressive rock guitarist that has been quite prolific over the past 10 years. And he also tends to churn out these live albums quite quickly with every tour that he does. I've had the great pleasure of meeting this particular musician many times, and I even interviewed him on my channel if you want to peel back some time ago and check that out. I am talking about Genesis guitarist Steve Hackett, and this is his newest live release called Genesis Revisited Live, Seconds Out and More. He tends to put out these live albums after every tour that he does, and in this case, he was focusing in on the double live album Seconds Out, which was his last full-length release with Genesis. One of the best double live albums out there, has a special place in my heart, and so he did the live album live in its entirety from start to finish, and he also did some of his solo stuff as well, which is equally as good. Front cover there features a live shot of him and his band. Nice sort of tip to the original Seconds Out cover with the 2 rows of jumbo jet lights. Here is the back. Gatefold shot of the band performing. And it does come with a nice fold-out insert, which has some live photos, a brief write-up from Steve, shots of his band, good stuff. And also, I don't know if you could probably tell on the cover, it was signed by the man himself. This is actually ordered from his web store. And of course, I went after one of the cool collectible variants that are out there. This is the web store exclusive version, which obviously, as you saw, was signed. And it comes pressed on purple vinyl, which looks absolutely stunning. And then also, as an added bonus, it does come with the live album on CD as well. So you do get a lot for your value and money, because this is indeed a 4 LP set, and there is tons of great progressive rock goodness to dive your way into with this new live album from Steve Hackett. Okay, time for some cool colored variants that I am so stoked to show with you guys. Here is an album that I literally own multiples upon multiples of copies of, and when I saw that there was this new version announced, I kind of had to justify it a little bit, but it was worth parting ways with one of my copies to make way for this one. Talking about one of the best albums of all time, and that is the self-titled debut from Black Sabbath. Absolutely adore this record. Don't need to say much else. This is a recent reissue that just came out fairly recently this year in 2022. And technically it's like a repressing of the 2015 version that BMG has put out. Replicates the UK artwork with the inverted cross. And of course the song Evil Woman appears on here, which was the band's first single. Now, doesn't replicate the Vertigo Swirl label, but we have this rather interesting custom label with the band's logo as it appears on the front cover. But check out the color of the vinyl. This is sick. This is like purple inside black. It's kind of like a black and purple kind of marble type of look. It looks absolutely stunning. Just an absolutely beautiful piece of vinyl. This will sit very nicely alongside my splatter copy of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So who's to say that BMG will be putting out more of these colored pressings as they come out? We shall see, but very cool to have. And now here is the one that I am so excited for, and needless to say, I will be holding on to my regular standard copy of this for one obvious glaring reason. But upon doing some research, it's kind of cool that they kind of did a little bit of a nod to this particular pressing. this is going to be my favorite band of all time, of course. That is Kiss Alive 2. This right here is the 45th anniversary pressing that just came out recently, exclusive to Kiss Online, sold out along with the picture disc, which I did not jump on. I'm not big on picture discs, but these colored reissues, I'm so glad I've been able to stock up on these. I really missed out on a lot of the early ones, but this is absolutely phenomenal. And obviously the big glaring difference, as you can tell, is the color of the Alive 2 logo, because obviously on the original it is red, but here it is blue. And I believe the Argentinian pressing from 1977 included a blue logo for the album's title, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know if you can see here, but the album's title is indeed, has a bit of a spot varnish finish to it, which is nice. Back cover as always. Classic gatefold cover, probably the best Kiss Live photo. Yes, even though it's doctored, it still is pretty cool. And of course, all aspects of the original packaging are here. We have the temporary tattoos, and we also have the Evolution of Kiss booklet, which has all kinds of photos of the band and its members all throughout the years up until 77. But wait till you see the color of the vinyl. And I think this is one of the nicest anniversary pressings that Kiss Online Universal has done. Check this out. This comes on red vinyl with blue and white splatter, which looks absolutely phenomenal. And of course, given the nature of splatter pressings, not one is going to look the same as the other. So I will showcase the second one here. Check this out. Got a bit more of the splatter action going on here. This looks absolutely phenomenal. So very glad to have jumped on this before it sold out. And obviously, like I said, now I have to own both this as well as my standard reissue from 2014, because obviously the reissue has the red lettering here, whereas this is blue, so obviously I got to keep both. But nonetheless, these color pressings are absolutely phenomenal to own. Okay, now we are going to immerse ourselves into the Court of the Crimson King. Not exactly the album, but the band itself. Yes, I am talking about King Crimson, and as you see here, I have the albums Discipline, Beat, and Three of a Perfect Pair. And you're probably wondering, Dylan, why do you have these albums if you have them already? Well, these right here are the Steven Wilson remixes that have just been freshly pressed on vinyl. Steven Wilson does a fantastic job with his mixes of the Crimson catalog, and they finally went ahead and put out the Adrian Belew 80s albums on vinyl. Kind of shocked that they didn't do a box set similar to the other ones that have been put out with extra material and booklets and such. So we just have these standalone releases. But nonetheless, I am very excited to dig into this trilogy here. But also a small fun fact with the version of Discipline here. The regular vinyl reissue has a bonus cut of Mate Kudasai, whereas with this album, we just have the main album itself without that bonus cut, so you can kind of hear it as it was originally intended. But just to kind of real quick showcase what entails with these remixed pressings, they do come with these awesome custom center labels. So we have the symbol that appears on the front cover along with a period-appropriate band photo, and that's basically the same across the board between this as well as Beat and Three of a Perfect Pair. So very happy to have these extra copies in my collection. But to complete my Crimson vinyl collection, finally, I have been waiting for a vinyl reissue of this live album of theirs. I am talking about the Earthbound album. So this came out back in 1972. This was after the band kind of imploded, I guess, a second time around. This includes the lineup of Robert Fripp, Boz Burrell, Mel Collins, and Ian Wallace. It kind of has a slight bootleg feel to it, just down to the sound quality of it, which was recorded on a... says it was recorded on an Ampex stereo cassette fed from a Kelsey Morris custom-built mixer and the rain from the back of a Volkswagen truck. It definitely sounds that way. But it's mainly consisting of improvs and just, you know, more jammed-out versions of Schizoid Man and Sailor's Tale. But it's one that I have been wanting in my collection for the longest time, and I am so stoked that they finally reissued it. And just like that, I guess in the meantime, until they put something else out, my Crimson vinyl collection is indeed complete. Yes, the beard is gone, but don't worry, it grows back quick. But anyways, got my hands on the latest Third Man Records Vault package. This is the last one for the year. This is package number 54. It is crazy that they have released this many. And this is one that I am very, very excited for because as of lately, the Third Man Vault has kind of diverted a little bit to where we get packages of artists by the likes of, Johnny Cash, Carole King, Primus, and a few others, and those are the ones I kind of steer away from. If it's Jack White related, White Stripes, or anything, that's on the Third Man roster, I will go after it. And with this one, they really did knock out of the ballpark here. This is Jack White Live, the Supply Chain Issues Tour. This is a 3 LP collection of recordings from his most latest solo tour from this year. It's basically honed in around the 2 albums that he did this year, Fear of the Dawn and Entering Heaven Alive. So the first LP has tracks from Fear of the Dawn, which is the heavy electric album. And then the second LP is devoted to tracks from Entering Heaven Alive, which is the nice total contrast, stripped down, rootsy, acoustic, more singer-songwriter based. And then the third LP is interesting. We have various cover songs and improvised jams that they kind of did throughout the shows, which are kind of, it's such a wide variety here. As you can see, the track list on that third LP completely is crazy bonkers. And given the nature of Jack White's solo shows, how there's no set list or anything, it just kind of is off the cuff and off the wall. So it's going to be really exciting listening to this. Nice triple gatefold sleeve. I love how they used a design which entails all the show posters for all the shows, since they were all, unique to each show. And there's a cool live shot of Jack and his live band. It even tells you where all these tracks came from in terms of which shows and such. So this is very cool. And this does come pressed on blue, white, and black vinyl. And there's also a cool insert as well, which is very nice. And there is also a 7-inch as well. This is for the track A Tip From You To Me, backed with the demo version of the track. And what's cool about this is that it comes pressed on blue sparkle vinyl, which I'm sure you can see there. And of course, as always, there is always this little textured sheet which explains the vault, kind of goes in great detail about it, which is very, very nice. And then I was doing some sort of last-minute Christmas shopping, and I decided to do some Christmas shopping for myself, as if I don't do that enough. But luckily, I was in an area where there are a lot of good record stores. Of course, the first one I'm going to mention, you have probably seen me talk about many, many times, but I've mentioned all the other ones that I've been to before on this channel, and crazy enough, for those other shops, I have not done any videos there, and I was starting to think maybe going into the new year, I should do some content at those various shops. So anyways, first shop that I went to was Sky Valley Records, favorite record store, and I decided to pick this up, and I was asking the worker there, Tyler, if, these are becoming hard to come by, and he said yes. And I can actually testify to this because a lot of people are asking about it at the shop that I work at. I picked up Phoebe Bridgers' Stranger in the Alps. Phoebe Bridgers is an artist that a lot of people go nuts over. I actually heard this album playing at Zia Records when I was in Las Vegas, when I did one of my record store vlogs there. And I immediately loved what I heard, and I would have bought it there if it was in stock, but unfortunately it was not. So it was one of those things where, I figured I would approach it at some point if I encounter it. And sure enough, given the demand of Phoebe's stuff and it's becoming hard to come by, I figured I would get my hands on a copy of it, which is very cool. And then the other shop that I went to was Collingswood Music, which had an absolutely amazing selection, and I honestly forgot how amazing that shop was, because years back in the past, I picked up my copy of Brian Wilson Presents Smile at that store. It was on the wall, and that is a very, very hard to come by record right now. It's one of my grails, and their selection is just out of this world. I'll save it for a future video that I'll probably end up doing at the store, but I picked this up, and I am shocked that I found this for this price, and I'm also kind of thankful I didn't buy it earlier. This is Queen and Paul Rogers, The Cosmos Rocks. So, of course, back in the 2000s, Brian and Roger of Queen had a little project going with Paul Rogers of Free and Bad Company fame. Did a couple of tours doing old Queen tunes as well as tracks that Paul was a part of, and they did this studio album. And this was the one album that they did together. This came out back in 2008. I almost bought this in Peoria, Illinois, when I was with the youngest members of the VC when we did our trip to St. Louis. It was the last store we went to. This was there. I believe it was $40, and I didn't buy it then. I ended up getting the 2 unofficial Floyd albums. But I got this for $12, which is phenomenal. Now, granted, some seam splits, shelf and corner wear, but overall, it is in relatively nice shape. And yeah, I mean, prints and inners, you know, have seen some wear. Vinyl, though, I honestly can't complain. It looks absolutely solid. So I figured for 12 bucks, this was absolutely worth it. So I'm glad that I got my hands on this. And then I also picked up Death, not the metal band, but the punk band from Michigan. This is Spiritual, Mental, and Physical. I had mentioned the Death album in a previous video in one of my vinyl hauls, and upon listening to it, I was like, where has this been? Why haven't I encountered this sooner? I absolutely loved it. Went ahead and checked out the documentary that's about the band. Super interesting story. But this right here are some reel-to-reel demo recordings from 74 to 76. That was right before they worked on the infamous album that just never got released. Aside from one 7-inch single, Politicians in My Eye. So I figured when I saw this, just on, you know, sight unseen, like I had heard about this, but I figured, you know what? I'm going to dive deeper into some Death. So, got my hands on this. And then I went to a mall in the area, and there was an FYE there. Oh my gosh, that is old stomping ground for me, because I was an FYE employee for a number of years, so it was quite surreal going back in there. But one of the newest locations that opened has a tremendous vinyl section that's honestly not badly priced, given that it is corporate retail. But when I saw this, I was shocked, and I kind of knew that a repressing was done recently, but I completely missed the ball on it, and I just couldn't get my hands on a copy. And then I saw it, and I figured, screw it, I have to. This is Linkin Park, 1,000 Suns. This came out back in 2010. I was listening to Linkin Park a lot back when I was in middle school. And I remember, like, when I became a fan, this was, like, the first album that came out, you know, during my time as a fresh Linkin Park fan. So I have a lot of fondness for tracks like Burning in the Skies, When They Come For Me, Waiting for the End, The Catalyst, which was the first single, which is a great track. A little bit more electronic driven. This is when they really started to kind of drift from the sort of new metal, you know, type influences on Hybrid Theory and Meteora. And vinyl copies of this were becoming hard to come by for a while, so they must have done a small repress. And just like that, my Linkin Park studio collection is indeed complete now that I have this album. Okay, now we are going to wrap this haul up, the final haul of 2022, with some Christmas VCLT that I received from the youngest members of the VC, which is a group which, of course, consists of myself, Marikan, Emma, and Jenna. You've seen our documentaries up on YouTube of our various travels to Nashville and St. Louis, as well as other places that are in the works right now as we speak. But always during this time of year, we always send each other records, and we always do a massive Zoom call to unwrap everything that we got each other and just discuss and catch up and whatnot. And it's always such a great time, and I miss those guys to death, and I cannot wait for the next time I get to see them next summer. Where's it going to be? You'll have to find out. But anyways, got myself a nice little stack from those guys. Going to start off with what Emma had got me for Christmas, and if you are a viewer of Emma's channel 8 Vinyl Low, then this first pick is an obvious no-brainer if you know what her favorite band is, and that is Cheap Trick, and this album is called Woke Up With a Monster. This came out back in 1994, came out on Warner Brothers. This is one that I've been actually kind of been seeking out. I remember seeing it at Sky Valley some time ago when I was there, and one time, like, I went there with the intent of picking it up and it was gone. But apparently, because this is a Start Your Ear Off Right pressing done by Rhino from 2017. According to Emma, it's becoming hard to find. So she was very gracious enough to hook me up with a copy. And gotta say, this is a Cheap Trick album that I am not too familiar with. Still warming up to the later parts of their catalog. But yet I managed to have everything that they've put out within the past couple years. So my collection is indeed building. And it comes on that sort of classic old school later era Warner Brothers label. So very stoked to get my hands on this. And then the next record that she got me was actually one that was kind of on my want list. And I was so happy that she was able to snag this for me. And that is Kinks. Kinda Kinks. I have been wanting to build up my Kinks collection. And this is one that I've been wanting to get my hands on. Simply because it has the song Tired of Waiting for You. And I just think that is a brilliantly crafted song. Also has their cover of Dancing in the Street, Looking for Me Baby, Something Better Beginning. All kinds of great R&B tinged early Kinks stuff here. Fantastic stuff. And then moving on to what Marican had got me, starting off with, I guess you could say, a familiar face from the TV show Stranger Things. This is Maya Hawke, and this album is called Moss. This is a new release that came out this past 2021. Marican describes it as Arlo Parks meets Joni Mitchell, which intrigued me right away because those are two artists that Marican absolutely loves, and I do have records by both those artists in my collection, so I am very excited to see what entails with this record. And also, it's worth pointing out that this is indeed a Urban Outfitters pressing, which comes pressed on clear pink vinyl, which looks absolutely awesome. And next up is what she has described, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree, is an emo anthem. And it's crazy because this album was huge when I was young, but I never subjected myself to it when I was at a young age. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I actually listened to it for the first time and thoroughly enjoyed it. I guess I always knew in the back of my mind I would want to own it on vinyl. Just wasn't on like the must-do priority type list. But Marican got the bases covered with My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. Quintessential, I guess, emo rock kind of album. The opening line of the title track is often recited by many of my generation. And I'm just very happy to get my hands on this album. As for other MCR stuff, I'm not too huge on them. This is the only album that I've really heard so far, but who's to say that if I keep on listening to this, I'll perhaps dig into some more. We shall see. But this is awesome to have. And of course, when it comes to Marican's favorite band, and in this case, her favorite member of that band, this is a no-brainer. She also gifted me Roger Taylor's Strange Frontier. Of course, Roger Taylor, the drummer of Queen. This is a solo album that he did back in 1984. This is one that I have honestly been wanting to get my hands on for a while. I love the song Man on Fire on this, but I've just been meaning to dive deeper into Roger Taylor's solo stuff. It's honestly thanks to Marican that I have some Roger Taylor solo stuff alone between his latest studio album, The Outsider, as well as the live album that just came out recently. It's all thanks to her. So very happy to get this. Does come with a printed inner sleeve. I also find it kind of amusing that the solo album is from 1984, and yet this photo of Roger looks like an outtake from the album cover for Queen's album, The Works, which was done around the same time. That's the eagle eye just kind of looking at these things. And I should point out, this does come pressed on red vinyl, which looks absolutely awesome. And then moving on to what Jenna had got me. Jenna went ahead and kind of had a small theme going with the selections that she sent me for Christmas. And I think by the time I show the second record, you'll pretty much kind of get it. First up is an album by the band called The Seeds. This is a sort of underground garage psych rock band. I have heard of these guys in passing, and I may have listened to bits and pieces of this album in the past. And honestly, I mean, for me, when it comes to digging into uncharted territory, when you see a band photo and they just look as cool as they do on this cover, you can kind of approach it with confidence. So it has Jenna's stamp of approval, and thus, you know, I'm very trusting of her to gift this album to me, and I'm very excited to listen to this album and kind of further my vocabulary in this vein, because believe me, between albums like this as well as the Brown Acid series that I like and everything else that kind of lies in that psych garage rock realm, there are a lot of nuggets that are just constantly being unturned. So it's all good stuff. Turned, I should say. Stones turned, not unturned. Anyways, next record that she got me, I was actually close to picking this up when we were in St. Louis at Vintage Vinyl. I literally had it in my hand, and then I put it back because I bought way too many other records. And I believe it's actually thanks to Jenna that I became aware of this album. And that is Mother Earth's Plantasia. Get the theme, plants, seeds, plant the seeds, you have plants. You get the gist of it. This is an album composed solely off of Moog synthesizer, which is music destined to help plants grow, which is a rather interesting concept. So, I mean, I don't have any plants in my listening room, but if I was to ever have one, I would play this album to encourage growth. But also just to vibe out to some cool synthy stuff. I mean, you really can't go wrong with this. This does come pressed on cool colored vinyl, which I will showcase. Just like that. Green, just like the color of leaves. I'm assuming, at least. And there's also a rather nice booklet here, which kind of talks about each track and how it promotes growth. And one of the things that I love is the fact that it comes with a download card, and you can actually plant this and it'll grow. It says, this download card is embedded with wildflower seeds. Plant under a thin layer of soil and water daily until the seedlings are well established. So once I redeem this, perhaps I'll grow some plants, and then I'll play this album finally. Not finally in the sense that I'm going to wait to play. I'm going to be playing it very, very soon because I'm excited to listen to it. And last but not least, this last record I am going to show is a Christmas gift from my best friend Chelsea, aka the Record Spinneret. Went over to her place for a bit on Christmas Day, and we celebrated the holiday together with her husband and their respective families. And of course, if you are a viewer of the channel and you've seen Chelsea in my content, you know what artist she is absolutely bonkers for. And I honestly kind of had a good feeling that I was going to get one of these. I say one of these. Taylor Swift Midnights. Now, yes, she did give me my standard blue vinyl copy from the previous month in November. This is another one of the 4 variants that are out there of this album. Honestly, her marketing team know what they're doing because it's literally 4 different versions of the exact same album, and they are all selling. But this right here is the Jade Green variant, which is Chelsea's personal favorites. As you can see, different artwork, nice gatefold jacket. The booklets are the same across all 4 versions, different inner bags featuring photos of Taylor herself. And this comes pressed on, like I described, jade green colored vinyl. So it has like a nice little bit of marble effect in there with the black smoke inside, which looks absolutely awesome. But now, and Chelsea knew what she was doing, because I have this now, the bug is in me to hunt down the other 2 variants. Look what you made me do. No pun intended. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of December this year in 2022. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.